Welcome to Mamahood After Trauma, where we stop pretending and heal out loud. I'm Emily Cleghorn, trauma survivor, cycle breaker, and mama rebuilding from the inside out. If you're ready to break cycles, trust yourself again, and rise without shame, you're in the right place. Let's go. Before we dive in, I want to introduce you to something brand new. If you love the podcast and want a deeper connection to your healing, check out the monthly Peace Pack, a small trauma-informed tool delivered each month straight to your mailbox to help you find calm in the everyday. You'll also get access to our private Patreon community where mamas like you can share, support, and learn together. Sign up with the link in the show notes. Hello, mama, and welcome to this episode of the Mamahood After Trauma podcast. I am so excited that you have taken some time out of your busy mama schedule to tune in and listen to our conversation today. Today, I am joined by Cindy Woulfe. Welcome.
Thank you, Emily. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our conversation today. So let's dive in. Can you share a little bit about what brought you to be working in the trauma recovery space? Maybe a little bit of your story?
Sure. I became a mom, and it was one of my biggest dreams in life. And I was so excited to welcome my son. And I jumped right in. And then at some point, I realized that I was completely lost in it. And I started to feel kind of hopeless. I started to wonder what was wrong with me. And I really had to take a good look at my life and say, what's missing? What can I do to recover that part of myself? And how can I make changes so I can show up to be the best mom I can be? And that's what I did.
Awesome. So can you share a little bit of your journey with us? How did you make that transition?
Okay, so what I realized first was I felt like I had other mothers in my life, like my sister, my mom, some of my friends, and I felt like I was alone. I felt like I was the only one that thought this was so hard and had all these feelings come up. And I realized the more I started to share my experience, I wasn't alone. And we all feel it. And I think it is, some people do have more trouble than others. But I think for me, it was just such a hit on who I was. Like my whole identity shifted when I became a mom. And I didn't want to lose myself, but I also found a way to find a whole nother side of myself. The more I did the work to see what motherhood did to me and what it brought up for me, and use that as a time to transform instead of just fall down the dark hole.
Yeah, I think a lot of moms, a lot of women find themselves feeling that isolation that you're talking about. Especially in those early postpartum days, because you're so tired and your child is so dependent on you and you're not sleeping at night and all of this change is happening. And then as your kids are growing, you're like, whoa, wait, hold on a second.
Yes, exactly. And honestly, I think a lot of it was sleep deprivation. So I did learn to give myself grace for that. And even just the change between my first son and my second son, I had already had some of the tools I created. So I did see such a difference in how I handled that transition as opposed to the first. But sleep deprivation is a huge thing.
Oh, it is. And it really messes with you.
Yeah, it messes with everything. And I think that's a big part of giving yourself grace too. I mean, your body has changed. Everything has changed, and you can't just be expected to just jump back into who you were before you had a baby as if nothing ever happened. And I think it's a missed opportunity too, if you do try to just go back to who you were.
Yeah. I think, though, there is also an element of we don't know what we don't know.
Mhm.
We don't know how long like, when you're a first-time mama, you don't understand that it takes your body a year to recover. And then on top of that, if you're also dealing with a traumatic past and in a trauma recovery journey, that adds an element of complexity to it as well. So, what were I'm curious, what were, I don't know, your top 3 tools that you created for yourself to help yourself move
So
through that time?
the very first tool actually came from, I mentioned this in my book, but when I had my first child, I had a cluster of hemorrhoids after I pushed him out that were very painful. And my doctor's orders were to go set up a SIDS bath every night with a tray on my toilet and just sit by myself for 20 minutes in my bathroom alone and then follow it with a warm shower. And I remember when he told me that, I was like, how the heck am I going to do that? I have this baby, and my first baby did not ever want to be put down. So I held him a lot, feeding him. I held him while he was sleeping. I was happy to do so. It was incredible bonding time, but I was forced to have 20 minutes a night. So we had to figure it out. I think I would get him fed and then I would pass him to my husband. My husband had to learn to figure him out. But in those 20 minutes of quiet, so
Mhm,
much came to me, whether it was sadness, grief, peace,
mm,
all feelings. But those 20 minutes really allowed me quiet time to sit with myself and have the feelings come and process
mhm.
some of the feelings. So I think if I hadn't had those 20 minutes, I would have
Yeah.
just stayed on autopilot. So that was the first thing because I noticed once my hemorrhoids healed, I was not giving myself that time. So I did
Mhm,
have to reincorporate some kind of quietness or meditation or just time alone with my own thoughts every day. And I made that a priority. So I would say that was my first accidental tool that I still use to this day because it's essential. And then
yeah.
I think also the giving myself grace, like learning how to forgive myself when I did make a mistake or I did snap at my husband or I did start crying and think, what is wrong with me? I really found a way to say, okay, I'm giving myself grace. I'm forgiving myself for this moment. What can I learn from this moment? So I would say that's been huge too, because especially as my boys have grown, I make mistakes all the time. And I no longer try to be a perfect mom because I know that's never going to be possible. But I have learned how to repair my mistakes too. So I often apologize to my kids and or my husband or whoever else I've hurt in the process of breaking down, but, giving myself grace and, uh, apologizing, I would say, is my other giant tool. And then I guess trying to think what else I would consider essential. I think nourishing myself too. So learning how to
Yeah.
physically care for myself after that time and seeing how much sleep and eating well and taking care of myself first helps me take care of my children.
Yeah, all 3 of those tools are huge, and I think there are a lot of mamas, myself included, who feel like we need to completely abandon ourselves
Mhm.
to care for the needs of our little people, our little ones, our families, our homes, and go away, kitty. Um,
Our animals.
our animals, like everybody is, we have been conditioned really by our society to take the we come last mentality. And you can't pour from an empty cup, but it takes a while to learn that
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
break through that conditioning.
Mhm.
Um, so taking 20 minutes, and like for you, it was 20 minutes, but it could be 5 minutes
Mhm.
spread out throughout the day.
Absolutely.
Um, and learning how to give yourself grace. That
Mhm.
is a huge muscle that many, many of us, trauma survivors especially, it's not a very strong muscle because it's so easy for us to go, oh, what's wrong with me? Oh,
Absolutely.
I always screw that up, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, 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 whatever it is, and beat ourselves up about it. But when you're able to give yourself that grace, it relieves the pressure and you're able to learn how to love yourself
Yes.
um, instead of beating yourself up and abusing yourself.
And you actually can take the lesson then,
Yeah,
because you can learn from your mistakes and you can get
absolutely.
more balance. And if you're just beating yourself up, you're not learning anything. And especially now as my kids have grown, the more I give myself grace, the more I give them grace. And the more
Right.
they learn then to give themselves and other people grace. It
Yeah,
really has such a ripple effect. Same with the
it
self
does.
care. I really learned how to, it's not even just, oh, I have to take care of myself so I can handle my kids. It's like, no, I matter too. And how
Yeah,
I feel matters too. And I want my kids to learn that how they feel matters and they need to learn how to take care of themselves too. So if we're all
yeah,
doing our part and filling ourselves up, we have everything to give each other too.
absolutely. And our kids are watching us and how we
Absolutely.
take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And they mirror that.
Yes. And you see those things that say, the happiness of a child can be measured by the happiness of the mother or something like that. But it really is true. Like I used to feel the pressure of it. If I'm in a bad mood, if something bad has happened in my
Mhm,
life, I'm exhausted. I notice my kids act differently. And I used
mhm,
to feel that pressure. But then I also said, this is a gift. Like if I can keep myself centered, I can affect how centered they are. If I'm
mhm,
happy, they really are happier. So it's almost like it's not a luxury. It's like my responsibility to be as
mhm.
balanced as I can for them.
Yeah,
And it's an
yeah,
honor, honestly, for these brief amount of years that they are living with me and I am everything to them. It's an honor that I'm the compass and I take it super seriously right now.
yeah, yeah, because those 18 years fly by.
Yes. The hard moments feel very long sometimes, but yes,
Yeah, they
in
fly by.
hindsight now, I can see how fast it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter just turned 7, and I was like, "Holy cow. How how are how are you 7?"
And it's funny too, because I feel like the virus gave us a little bit of a pause. So
Mm,
mine were just 3 and 5 when the world shut down. So I do feel like some of those years are extra long, which is amazing that we had that time. But sometimes I have to really think about I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that was only a couple years." But for
yeah,
me, time got to pause for a little bit during those
yeah.
years.
So how can our listeners connect with you further? They'd like to do
Well,
so.
so they can get my book, which is called In the Weeds, A Guide to Saving Your Own Soul on This Crazy Journey Called Motherhood. And they can go to my website, which is cindycapriowolf.com. And they can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. But my book also includes journal prompts. So it's more it's meant to be intentionally short. The each chapter is like a daily practice, supposed to be a very gentle guide. It's not preachy. The idea behind it is to learn more about yourself and to use this time to one, give yourself grace and to two, embrace the transformation that's happening because it is for your greater good. And it's hard work, but it's so rewarding. And I feel like people say, oh yeah, once you have kids, you learn, how to not be selfish, which is true because you always have to put other people first. But I think it's also such a lesson in you also learn to get to know yourself and take care of yourself. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that nobody told us would come from motherhood.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will be sure to include Cindy's links in the show notes below so you can go grab a copy of her book, follow her on social media, check out her website, whatever journey you would like to embark on. It will be easy for you to do that from the show notes below if you just scroll down a little bit. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Emily. You too. Keep taking care of yourself.
Thanks for listening to Mamahood After Trauma. Take one insight from today, breathe, reflect, and keep healing out loud. Subscribe to the podcast for more stories, tools, and support. And remember, Mama, you're breaking cycles and rising with honesty. Until next time, mend the past so you can mama in peace.